Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Old Time Rock and Roll. I'm your host, David Tear. Actually, the name of this group is now Dave's Top 3,000 Songs of the Rock Era. Whereas the title suggests, I feature my personal top 3,000 songs of the rock era. From 1954 to 1999, I'm counting down one each day. And today I'm up to song number 2531. And that one is Navy Blue by Diane Renay. And it was released in 1964, went all the way to number six, and was also released on her album called Navy Blue. And here's a picture of Diane Renay holding a little, I guess, a little Navy doll, a doll of, I guess, a sailor. Uh, but I guess I want to start by talking about this song, and not a whole lot to say about it. It's a pretty simple minded song, like a lot of the songs were from the early 60s. There were a lot of, just kind of girl groups and female teenage singers. She was only 17 when she recorded this, by the way. Um, and I'll get into her in a minute. But, it's one of those just kind of love ballads about, she's supposed to be a teenage girl who's lovesick for her boyfriend who joined the Navy, and I guess he's off on an assignment in the Navy, and she's waiting for him to come back. Um, that's pretty much all it's about. And, now I guess I'll talk about the artist, Diane Renay. Not a whole lot to say about her either, actually. She was born in South Philly in 1945, and like I said, she recorded this song "Navy Blue." That was her biggest hit, her only top 10. And she recorded when she was just 17. And it was her manager who wrote it for her. Manager was Bob Crew. I guess he wrote a lot of teenage love songs. This was just one of them, and it was a hit for Diane Renay. And she only had one other hit, also in 1964, was called "Kiss Me Sailor." I guess same theme. That one went to number 29, and I don't know. I mean, I do kind of like the song Navy Blue, which is, I guess, why I featured it on my list. And, like I said, there's a lot of kind of similar theme songs from around that time. That wasn't the only song about a teenage girl who has a boyfriend who's in the armed forces. There was also a song called Soldier Boy by the Shirelles. And I think there were a number of other ones. I can't think of any others offhand, but it's kind of a common theme back there. And I think if one thing about the early '60s, it was a lot more respectable to join the armed forces at that time. This is before we really got into Vietnam and we started having big demonstrations against it. We were losing that war. You know what I mean? It was a pretty pro-American time. I'd say the whole, period after World War II until about the mid '60s. Most people were very proud of people who join the armed forces. I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have done it at any time in my life because I just can't stand the thought of fighting in a war in any era, except for maybe World War II. I would have loved to have killed some Nazis in that war because I am Jewish. And by the way, Diane Renay was Jewish. She is. She's still alive. She's Jewish too. I don't remember what her actual name was. And I don't know if she was a natural blonde. Probably not, because there aren't very many natural blonde Jews. It's not in our genes. Uh, we call blonde shiksas in case you're interested. But anyway, so I guess that's pretty much all I have to say about the song Navy Blue by Diane Renay. And thank you for watching. I guess I'll put out another shout out for vets. So for all you Navy vets who might be watching, thank you for your services. I do appreciate the fact that you defended our country, and we needed a lot of that. Um, you know, Even though I am a pacifist, I do appreciate your efforts. And by the way, I think I should just say one more thing before I leave. My best friend in college was in the Navy ROTC. We were good friends for about 10 years, and he loved to beat me at chess. He killed me at chess, and he after I went to University of Michigan with him. After we graduated, he got stationed in San Diego. I think he was still with the ROTC. I'm not sure, but But they dropped him around 1990. He got married and then they dropped him from the Navy. And I don't know what he did. Last I heard, he was a construction worker, and then I've never heard from him again in my life. And he was my best friend in college, even though he was a little bit of an asshole. He once told me that he was too bad the Germans lost World War II. So fuck him for that. I wouldn't be friends with anybody who said anything like that to me today. I guess it just shows you how desperate I was for friendship at the time. But anyway, enough said. Thank you for watching. You guys rock, and I'll see you next time. Bye.